finally relenting here, moving out towards the Cape and so forth, and we may even see the sun by later on, so it may turn into a nice winter day. We are in the business of Newport County. Blakely Schmidt and our guest.
Hello. Yes, today we have Tom Hockaday, who is on the board of the Newport Opera House Theater and Performing Arts Center. Thank you so much for coming today, Tom.
Thank you, and I'm so excited to be here to share with the listeners and with the community here in Newport all the exciting news about this wonderful historic restoration that we're doing for a precious gem for Newport and for Washington Square and for our community. The big news is the Opera House Theater was opened on December 28th, 1867. 150 years ago, this coming December 28th will be our 150th anniversary, and we will be celebrating that to celebrate our achievements and the work we've done for the restoration to date, to champion our plans for opening the theater in the 150th year, and to talk more about why this is important for the city and what we will do for the cultural aspects of the city, an educational catalyst for the city, and most importantly, an economic driver that will benefit the community and surrounding areas.
That sounds fantastic. So let's just talk, how did you specifically get involved with the Opera House?
Well, my partner and I live in Newport now. We're retired, originally in Washington, D.C. and in New York City, and have been in Newport for a while, but retired here because we love this community, love what it does, and it's a wonderful place for culture, for educational opportunities, and a beautiful place to live, particularly at Christmas time. I've always been a community activist and be involved in the community, but I literally found out about the Opera House when I was in Penn Station in New York City, calling Dominique Alfondre, a good friend who runs the Island Moving Company, to tell her my train was late. And I was Googling her name to get Island Moving Company phone number, and it pops up in Google was a video of a restoration of the Newport Opera House Theater. And I did not even know about this. This was about 6 years ago. And so I called her and said, I'll be late, but more importantly, what is this project all about? So I learned about it and knew I'd been in the theater. It used to be a triplex theater. Knew about how wonderful it was, learned about the dynamic nature of this project. And I lived in Washington, D.C. for years and was involved and helpful with some of the restoration of theaters in the Washington area. And I saw the impact of the Signature Theater, the Arena Theater in the Southwest on the waterfront of Washington and what it did for the community. And I said, how can I help? And that began my efforts.
Oh, nice. Boy, what a great story.
Yeah, so interesting how just by chance you came across it, and now look at us. So,
terrific. So it's an ambitious project, and it is up there in size among the larger projects that have been undertaken in this city, if I'm not mistaken. Just give us a sense of how large a project this is.
Well, it has been a very large and a very complicated process because we are restoring a historic theater, and our number one mission is not only to bring it to life and open it up, but to do the restoration under the historic preservation guidelines. So we will preserve this beautiful gem, cultural arts center, and performing arts center for the community and for the state of Rhode Island. So it has been a Herculean task to put this all together there. We did our groundbreaking about a year ago. Governor Raimondo came down and was very supportive and helped us break ground. And we have been just finished the first phase of the restoration project, which the emphasis was on stabilizing and securing the structural aspects of the building. We're required to put in some steel columns and steel beams to support the weight, reinforce the walls, deal with all the stabilization efforts needed for a building that was 150 years old, that had fires and had many different lives, and needed some work to bring it up to the effort so we could begin the finishing touches. So we are finished with phase one, so excited with what we've done this year and what we've accomplished in this phase one, and we're ready to move into phase two, which begins the more fun and beautiful aspects of the restoration.
Now, when does that get underway?
We are currently underway with it, and we are moving forward day by day, which with right now we are working on the annex building. that will be where the working operations of the theater will be, where performers' dressing rooms, the green room, staging areas, etc. That is structurally being worked on now. Foundation is laid, and we're beginning on the walls. That will be a 4-story building adjacent to the building. When that is complete, then we will begin the interior touches and finishing, the seating, the lighting, and all of those things, which are really the pretty and fun things, but we're still working on structural stuff now.
In terms of a performance space, in just how, what was the space like? How big was the stage? How many people did it hold? And what is the goal when we see the new Opera House?
Well, the theater has had 3 different lives. It began as it opened as an opera house in 1867 that had wonderful traveling performers. We brought Newport had many great people. On our Facebook page, you'll see posting today of our Throwback Thursdays. Mary Pickford was here.
Wow.
Duke Ellington was here.
Wow.
Mark Twain performed here.
Is that right?
Edwin Booth, the brother of John Wilkes Booth.
Yikes.
Unfortunately, the man that assassinated President Lincoln, but he was one of the leading performers, Shakespearean performers, performed here a number of times. Harriet Beecher Stowe. The list is unlimited of the quality of performing artists.
Buffalo Bill.
Buffalo Bill, too. Yes, thank you for reminding me of Buffalo Bill. All performed on this
Linus
stage.
and Buffalo Bill. That's my cultural contributions to the program this morning.
After the turn of the century, as motion picture and talkies in the movies became more prominent, it was transformed into a movie house, a large movie house. Which it did that for 40 or 50 years, and then eventually was turned into a triplex movie theater. Then many of our listeners, that's where there are 3 screens. That was the original. There were 2 on the first floor and 1 in the balcony.
Really?
And it was many Newporters probably went to movies there.
I did growing up. I went to movies at the movie theater at the Opera House.
At the Opera House,
the Opera House, and
I guess I was aware of that. I had no idea that there were multiple.
There were multiple
There was a
lives.
multiplex. It was an early multiplex, right?
That's exactly an early multiplex, but it was a triplex there.
Yeah.
But we purchased the building in 2003 to begin this effort, and have been working with the business community. In fact, the chamber and the business community was very involved in the acquisition of the building. It was the leaders of the chamber and of the business community that came to a group of citizens to say, this is a historic jewel that must be preserved, and we must not let it be torn down for development that will take away from the character of Washington Square. So thank you to the chamber, and thank you to those leaders with foresight in the early years of 2000 that came up with this concept.
Right.
Fantastic. Well, we'll talk about the vision for the Opera House, what its next life is going to be, and it is such an interesting story, and so happy to be able to talk about it with Tom Hockaday from the board of the Opera House here in Newport, here in the business of Newport County. In the next half hour, we will welcome our latest Business of the Week, sponsored by Humphreys Building Supply. And for more information on Business of the Week or any of the programs of the Newport Chamber of Commerce, you just visit newportchamber.com. 1540 WADK and WADK.com.
1540 WADK. Here's your Boating in the Bay report.
For today, north winds at 5 to 10 knots, becoming northwest at 10 to 15 knots, and gusting up to 20 knots this afternoon. Tonight, northwest winds at 10 to 15 knots, gusting up to 25 knots, then diminishing overnight. Waves today and tonight 2 to 3 feet. Next, Newport Harbor, high tide early this evening at 5:14. Low tides this morning at 11:08, and again tonight at 10:39. That is Boating in the Bay on WADK.
Let's get into the spirit of the season. Let's get into Fifth Ward Liquor to find spirits for the season. Seth has some unbeatable specials like Dewar's Scotch 175s at the new lower price of $35.99. Kahlua 750s are $22.99. Bailey's 175s are on sale, $39.99. Pinnacle Vodka 175s are only $19.99. Get to Fifth Ward for the new Jameson Irish Whiskey IPA edition. Johnny Walker 18-year-old is available, as is Macallan Rare Cask Scotch. Look for the Bola 2-bottle gift sets at $18.99 and Kim Crawford Sauvignon Blanc at $17.99. And you can never go wrong with a Fifth Ward Liquor gift card. Seth and the crew are waiting for you at Fifth Ward Liquor, 695 Lois Thames, Newport. Open Sunday, Christmas Eve from 10 a.m. till 8 p.m.
The fun starts quicker with Fifth Ward Liquor. You better take the Fifth.
Hey, I'm Reba McEntire. Growing up in Oklahoma, I had big dreams of becoming a successful country music singer. But I also knew the odds were against me and that I needed an education to fall back on. Studying never got in the way of my dreams. In fact, school gave me lots of opportunities I wouldn't have had otherwise with my career. Please stay in school and try your best. You never know where a good education might take you. This message is brought to you by the U.S. Air Force.
Stay safe by staying informed.
At holiday time or any time, when daytime visibility is less than perfect, turning on your lights allows you to see and be seen. Use this rule of thumb: wipers on, lights on.
This holiday thought comes from State Senator Lou DePalma, extending warm wishes for a safe and memorable holiday season. Happy holidays from Senator Lou DePalma.
Now, your local headlines on 1540 WADK.
A bit of morning snow before clouds give way to sunshine later, high 34. More on WADK's AccuWeather forecast is coming up. Newport City Councilor John Flores is free on personal recognizance following his arraignment yesterday in Newport District Court. He's accused of making a threatening phone call to a 13-year-old boy. Flores says he was trying to protect his daughter after she received vulgar and threatening messages from the boy. Honeywell International is moving customer service jobs out of Smithfield. It's unclear how many jobs are impacted. The New Jersey-based company says the affected employees will be able to apply for other positions within the company or will be offered severance. Art Berruti, WADK News.
Narragansett's information station, 1540 WADK.
Old Mr. Kringle is soon gonna jingle the bells that'll tingle all your troubles away.
It is that time, you bet. 10:34 in your hometown. It's the business of Newport County, the Newport County Chamber of Commerce, Blakely Schmidt, and we're talking about the Opera House. So exciting. If you've just seen the banner and wondered what was going on, well, we have the man, not the man with the bag, but the man with the answers today, Tom Hockaday.
Thank you. Hi there, Tom.
So let's talk about what the plan is and what we can look for and what we can see at this renovated, revived Opera House.
Absolutely. You've heard about the history of the theater. Our mission, three-pronged mission, is to become a cultural jewel for the city, an economic driver, which I do want to talk about why this is important for the business community and for our city, and an educational catalyst with our collaborations with youth and education programs in the school systems. But really one of the most important things that we think bringing this 700-seat performing arts center that will be a year-round center that will have dance, theater, music, concerts, speakers, comedy, educational efforts, etc., for the whole community is the economic impact that this will have upon our community. It will be very important to the community and very important to the businesses. We work very closely with businesses on Washington Square, Broadway Merchants. We're part of the Broadway Merchants Association, and we're very active in the Broadway Street Fair because this is a joint effort that will help all in the community. One of the leading indicators as we began this project, we had the University of Massachusetts at Dartmouth do an economic impact analysis for us so that we would know what this theater could mean to the community, which provided wonderful information about how this will be helpful to the community. During construction, we will be generating $15 million in direct and indirect economic impact to the community, supporting 181 jobs, payrolls of $5.1 million. And the most important thing is with the first year of operation, once it's opened, it is by University of Mass estimated, and this study was done about 8 or 9 years ago, and I'm sure these numbers are even better today, that there will be an estimated $1.6 million in local impact per year in the first job and create 54 new jobs for Newport with an annual payroll of approaching $400,000. These are not direct theater jobs. These are jobs that are related to businesses that are supporting the theater and supporting the theater operations. In addition to it, because of the proximity of being on Washington Square in the historic and cultural hub of Newport, that's been one of the most beautiful squares and where so many historic things have happened, the ability for us, and we plan to work with local businesses, the hotels and inns, the bars, the restaurants, the retail stores, of how we can do programming and work with them so patrons that come to a beautiful performance will spend time in and around Newport in no better term than spending money that benefits our city.
Absolutely. Because you have to have dinner before you go to the theater. That's how I understand it.
Well, in fact, there's one very interesting number that I think is very important for all Newporters to know that are interested in this theater and interested in seeing this happen. The American for the Arts, which is a national organization supporting performance arts, did a study 4 years ago. A study, they surveyed 9,700 arts and cultural organizations across the country and surveyed 151,000 patrons of those arts and cultural organizations that bought tickets to museums or theater or concerts, etc. And they determined that the average arts attendee spends $24.60 per person beyond the price of the admission.
So I just did a quick calculation here. So that's $17,000 per event if the theater sits about 700 people.
It's absolutely. We've estimated ourselves based upon our business model and plan that we will have headliners, we will have local people, local talent, etc. But based upon our average attendance that we are projecting per year, that the first year will be $1.2 million in revenue produced by our collaborating businesses, communities, inns, etc. I mean, if you think $24.60 per person who attends, have a drink beforehand, have dinner afterwards, spends the night, etc., it's a wonderful economic development opportunity for our city and for our wonderful businesses that help fuel this engine in town.
Really, really something. So we really, it is something that is not been really available here. I mean, we have this type of entertainment on an occasional basis, on a festival basis and whatnot, but not on a year-round basis. This would be a year-round facility.
Yes.
Right? And it really opens things up to a lot of types of entertainment that, quite frankly, you have to go out of town to see.
Absolutely. We will have 700 seats, which will be a unique size theater for the state of Rhode Island. We have, obviously, PPAC, which does wonderful work, the Vet Center. Those are all 2,000 to 3,000 size theaters. Then you drop down to more of the theaters in the 200 to 300 person seat size. We are a nice mid-sized theater that will be able to bring in, as I mentioned, all wide range of performing artists, world-class artists. We've had a number of organizations, the New York City Ballet, the Palm Beach Opera, theater producers, music producers who have been to look at our theater and have talked about the options and their willingness and desire to work with us on bringing first world-class performing artists to Newport. So it's so exciting for our community, for those that love performing arts, but also for the community as a jewel to help restore Washington Square.
Well, I think this has far-reaching implications. I can't imagine that you're not aware of it, but people like Blakely and me are just beginning to understand it. I actually, I was listening to someone speak maybe a month or so ago who had come from Boston to an event at the Opera House. And it was, I imagine it had something to do with fundraising, and it was a reception type thing. But I was just about to ask you, well, how large an area do you think you're going to draw from here, Tom? And then I remembered, hey, wait a minute, this guy came down from Boston. And, of course, Boston loves Newport. So this could really have some far-reaching implications.
Well, it can, because we in Newport have a unique venue to offer to people. This is a place to come for a destination, not just to drive for a performance and turn around and drive back home, but to come and stay in one of our beautiful hotels or inns, enjoy this dramatic, gorgeous city that we have by the sea, to shop in wonderful shops, and to have a chance to see the history of our community, the mansions, and then cap it off with a great performance in a spectacularly restored historic performing arts center. So it really is a wonderful opportunity to bring people to our city to really understand why this is such a jewel for all of us.
Sure. Really, really exciting. Would this be, and have you talked about this, Tom, could this be something where perhaps some of the colleges, not only here in town but around the area, may utilize the space for some type of a production that they may have that may be too big for their on-campus?
Absolutely. This is not just going to be a performing arts center that brings in headliners, the Bernadette Peters or a small Broadway production or a symphony orchestra or a dance company. We have in our business plan have set aside, and our plans are to devote 20% of our time on the stage and use of the theater for colleges, youth, our collaboration and educational efforts, so that this is not just bringing Broadway or New York in, but this is allowing for community organizations and groups to use to put on their own productions. We have the Island Moving Company. We have the wonderful Newport String Project that does wonderful work at the Martin Luther King Center and performs beautiful small concerts. Those are perfect opportunities for use of the Performing Arts Center. So we're going to be available for the community as well as for what they call in the business headliners to bring in for special programming.
And that's going to pay the rent, no question.
It pays the rent, but it also brings people to our city.
Right.
And that's the thing that all of us here in Newport are very interested in doing for the benefit of our city.
Wow. So might there be, a headliner, to use the term, might there be a headliner that might consider the Opera House space and prefer it to, say, a PPAC or something like that, where 2,300 might be too many people?
Well, absolutely. There are a number of artists, particularly many of jazz artists. We have talked with the Festivals Foundation, and Jay Sweet, who is their artistic director, has indicated that he wants to work with us for opportunities, particularly for emerging jazz artists there. But there are also a lot of larger performing artists. I went to the University of North Texas in Denton, Texas, which is a wonderfully renowned music school. And Nora Jones graduated from the University of North Texas.
Is that right? Didn't know that.
Nora Jones loves small venues. She's an intimate artist. She, of course, performs in major centers, but she loves small theatrical centers of this size or larger because she loves to interact with the audience.
Yeah.
There are many performers that are that way. You see them performing in artists in theaters all around the country. Even a wonderful performing artist like the talented movie actor and musician Hugh Jackman has performed in small theaters in San Francisco, did a special Broadway off show in the small theaters in New York, which were less than 1,000 people. So many performing artists love the intimacy. A lot of the rock artists want the 15,000 people. That's not going to be our venue.
But, to your point, there are some of those who have a following. I'm thinking of some of these artists that go into some of the venues in suburbia, the 200, 300 seat venues. Your Tower of Power and your groups like that, who would fill 700 seats at the drop of a hat.
Well, I came from Washington, D.C. and was involved in some of those theaters there. You had the Birchmere Theater in Arlington, Virginia, that brought in the Tower of Power, the Chicago's Three Dog Nights, that are all great, that love that kind of performance. The Metro Stage in Old Town Alexandria on the waterfront, they were all small sizes. Those were really more 200 to 300, but they still bring those artists, Emmylou Harris and people like that. So, we can bring headliners, we can bring the oldies, we're able to, offer for our patrons in the community all those types of performances.
So exciting. Well, this is great. Tom Hockaday, thank you so much for bringing this to life and kind of taking us inside the Opera House. We've been seeing the banner and so forth. So if someone would like more information, maybe get involved in the effort, How can
we would
reach
love,
out?
we are thrilled that we have over 6,000 people in the community supporting our efforts, donors, people that are following us on social media, people that are volunteering, have done statement of supports, and have had their photo taken with the sign, I love the Opera House. And we would love 6,000 more, and 6,000 more donors, too, as we continue to raise money for the completion. The best way to get involved is via our website, which is operahouseri.org. Again, operahouseri.org. Or call our office, and one of our great staff members will be glad to tell you how you can become involved, and that's 401-619-4599. But we need the broad-based community support to finish this project and bring this to life so that we all can enjoy 24, hours a day, 365 days a year performing artists in Newport.
Oh, terrific. So great to talk to you. Thanks very, very much. What an exciting hour. Glad to have you. Tom Hockaday from the Opera House, operahouseri.org. All right. New business of the week coming up here in the Business of Newport.